Hi guys, I wanted to do an update video. I haven't done a just plain old sit down video in quite a while, but something big is going to be happening soon and I want to document the entire thing, so this is kind of like step 2 of a 3-step process, well, a 4-step, 5-step process. So, as I've mentioned several times before, I live in New York, currently upstate New York, nowhere near New York City, so don't ask. I'm nowhere near the city. I don't live in a big city. I live in a really small, crappy meth lab city. And I say that because there's meth labs everywhere around here, and it's just lovely. So, anyways, I've lived in New York my whole life. Up until a few years ago, I had never even left the New York, Pennsylvania area. But my brother joined the Marines, so then that made us travel. We went down to see him graduate in North Carolina, and I've traveled to Florida several times since in the last couple of years here. So I live in a house. My dad owns this. It's an apartment, a multifamily home. There's a downstairs and an upstairs, and originally when we had Nathan, we lived downstairs with my dad. It was me, Matt, Nathan, and my dad downstairs. And my grandma and grandpa lived up here. Then my grandpa got sick and he couldn't really go up and down the stairs anymore, so they moved downstairs with my dad, and Matt and I and Nathan moved upstairs. So we've been up here for about 2 years. So about a year and a half ago, I started this process where I was nagging my dad to move. I kept saying, I want to move, I want to get out of here before Nathan's old because I hate this area and I've always wanted to be out. And he kind of was really reluctant to it at first. He didn't really want anything to do with it. He was like, no, I would never move, blah, 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 blah. Then a few weeks later, he actually, he's an LPN and he does home health care. So he works with people in their homes. And he was working in a house where right next door there was a meth lab bust. And he was outside playing with that kid every day next door to this house where these meth lab fumes and stuff were, and he could have blown up at any time. So I think that kind of pushed him over the edge to saying that, okay, I'm ready to move. So at that point, him and I started researching, mostly me, because he doesn't do anything, like he doesn't like to do things, and I am very prepared. So I started researching, and we were looking into anywhere down south. We were looking at North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, Texas, Louisiana, Alabama. I mean, we had looked all around and we were trying to find the best area for us. And originally he had said he didn't want to be too close to the ocean. He wanted to be at least 2 to 3 hours away from the ocean. He did not want to be right near the ocean. He was very adamant about that. So we looked at several houses. We were looking online. I found tons of houses in different areas. We found information about different areas, and we settled on Florida because we liked the idea of being completely surrounded by ocean, and I mean just having all of that all the time. I think the statistic is like any place you are in Florida, you're not more than an hour and a half from the ocean, so I thought that was pretty cool. And so then he kind of changed his mind, and he was like, okay, you know, we'll think about living near the ocean. So when we originally went down the first time, this was my dad's and I's first time flying ever, and we were both petrified. And we were looking we had a realtor named Tara Moore in the Orlando Winter Garden area, not Orlando specifically, but Winter Garden is right near there, and that's where we were looking with her. And then on that same trip, we also were looking in Clearwater area, around there, and our realtor there was Janelle Mitowski. And when we got down there, we were more leaning towards the Winter Garden area because it was just so nice. They have really fancy houses and things like that. And we ended up finding a house that we really liked. But apparently we were being stupid because my dad didn't have a job there. He obviously was still working in New York, and he could not get approved for the loan. So we drove, in that same trip, we saw a few houses in Winter Garden with Tara, and then we drove the 2 hours or whatever to get to the Clearwater area, and she actually found us a couple of houses that were in a town called Dunedin, which we had never heard of. I didn't really want to live in Clearwater, so that we were only considering it because of the closeness to the ocean. We never wanted to be in Clearwater, so we kind of were just checking it out, you know. And when we found Dunedin, she found us this house, which the house itself was nothing. But we ended up finding this organic restaurant called Serendipity Cafe. And when we were sitting down there eating with the real estate agent, you sit outside or inside, and a bus went by. And on the bus it said something about like how it's eco-friendly and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm just looking around this town, this small town, and I'm like, oh my God, this is our place. So we came back home after that trip because he had figured out that he basically needed to have a job down there before we could look into actually getting a house. So him and I did research, and we found him an apartment complex that accepted dogs because he has a sheltie, and I found him a doggy daycare. He moved down there this past June, so June 2014, he moved down there. I drove him down there. Miserable trip. I'll explain that in another vlog. Anyway, so he's been living there since June, so it's been like 8 months-ish now. And now he has the pre-approval for a loan. So we are working very diligently, and by we, again, I mean me, on finding a home. We're looking at either a 2-bedroom, 1-bath home with an attached garage so that my dad can have the garage as his own space. He can turn it into a like separate apartment area. Or we're looking into a multi-family home. So that's just what's going on right now. I'm going to be documenting this entire thing. And like I said, I will make a vlog about our trip down to Florida because that is a whole nother subject in itself. But I just basically wanted to say that we are going to be moving from New York to Florida. It's going to be within the next 6 months. We plan to be down there by the end of July, definitely. So if you guys have any questions about the process, if you have any suggestions, any tips, let me know. Otherwise, I will talk to you for the next vlog when I have an update. Thank you for watching. Bye!